Okay, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone to our weekly discussion. My name is Jonathan Jones, and it's my privilege to be your host and moderator. The company is the Healthcare Support Association of America, and it's a small private not-for-profit organization my wife and I started. It began as the Cellular Health Foundation back in 2001, not too long after my mother died. Our goal was to disseminate information that is public information that anyone has access to just let folks know about very simple things that we could all individually do, adding things to our diet that could help us to improve our health and wellness. It was the moment when the intensive care nurse said to me when I asked her, what was she doing for my mom? She said, well, we're monitoring her very closely. And that was sobering enough. But when she said, to be honest with you, we're praying for her immune system to kick in, that's when it was like someone had just shattered a huge pane of glass and it just fell down right in front of me, because I assumed that they were doing a lot more than simply monitoring my mother and praying for her. We had the prayer part covered. We had people who actually knew God's name taking care of that. So we figured that the hospital, the emergency room, the intensive care unit was doing a little bit more than that. So that's what launched us down the road of searching for immune system kicker inners and ways for you and me to not be at anyone else's mercy, not to be at the whim of someone else deciding whether they could do something for our immune system or not. So that's why we share the information that we have with anyone who's interested in knowing about it. Most of these meetings have been recorded and captured. They're on my YouTube channel. You can just find me at youtube.com/Jonathan Jones. If that's a little bit too difficult to remember, just go to youtubejonathan.com. And it's spelled the way it's spelled in the Bible, youtubejonathan.com. It will direct you directly to my channel. I appreciate it if you subscribe, and anything that you appreciate, click like. It helps send a message to YouTube about the value of the meetings, and it also helps to promote the videos so that others will get access to them. Now, for the record, I am not a medical doctor, and I don't ascribe to be one. I strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. The information that you hear on this channel, on this program, is for educational purposes only. Nothing that is presented here is intended to be construed as a substitute for a visit to your primary health care physician. Even when we interview doctors on this program, you must seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. Testimonies that you hear are anecdotal. You don't know the clinical circumstances surrounding the individual's success or results. Results are atypical. What happens to someone else may not be the results you get. Now, that having been said, I want to share with you some information about long haulers. Have you heard the expression long haulers? It popped up, there's so much information now about what's going on with COVID in the news. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to keep up with it all. But I want to just share a news clip that was on NBC about long haulers for those who are not familiar with it, because it'll give you a little bit of an education, as it did for me, on what that expression is, where it came from, and more significantly, some of us may be able to relate to some of what is being described in this condition. So hang on just one second. Let's see if we can get this to start for us. Let's take it back to the beginning.
All right, Simone, thank you so much. Shortness of breath, fatigue, hair loss. Some people dealing with these symptoms for months after having COVID-19. Medical experts haven't figured out yet why long haulers are experiencing these chronic symptoms, but the National Institutes of Health is studying them to find out. Here's NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk.
Hey there, Allison. These so-called long haulers have only been identified very recently. The virus really hasn't been around that long. What's striking is how little we know about it. And when researchers at the NIH realized what was going on, they went to Congress, launching this billion-dollar study to try to understand why some people can get rid of COVID, but not the symptoms. Imagine having a fever for nearly a year.
Starts out in the 99 range in the morning and escalates throughout the day to the 101 range.
After getting sick with COVID-19 last March, 47-year-old Amy Watson is technically virus-free, but she is still suffering symptoms. She says she coined the phrase long haulers.
On April 29th, I created Long Haul COVID Fighters. I named it after a trucker cap that I wore to my drive-up COVID test.
The name stuck, and the support group she started just keeps growing.
It's taking a long time for the medical community to catch up to where we are. And we are suffering, and we need help.
The NIH wants to change that, launching a $1 billion initiative to study long haulers.
Respiratory viruses like a cold if it's minor or the flu if it's not so minor, people tend to get better after a couple of weeks. And with COVID, for a lot of people, that doesn't seem to be happening.
The brain fog just won't go away. Body aches, tired, can't think straight, my chest hurts.
Feels off, like I'm searching for words.
NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins says there is no pattern to who gets hit with long COVID. Young, old, some really sick with COVID at first, while others weren't sick at all.
We know there are people that have had these lasting effects for months. Do you suspect it could be longer than that, years even?
I fear that some people who have had these effects who are already 3 or 4 months out may not be on a path to get better in a few more months, and this could be something that becomes a chronic illness.
While there are still many questions, medical professionals say there are theories about the cause. One is that the immune system clears the virus, but just keeps on fighting as if it's there. NIH neurologist Dr. Avindra Nath showed us what that can do to the brain.
So those little marks right there that are on that slide, they shouldn't be there?
They shouldn't be there. All this green stuff should not be there.
You said earlier they're leaking?
The damage of the blood vessels allows the leakage of this protein into the brain itself.
I'm not a neurologist, but leaking in the brain is not a good thing, right?
Not a good sign, unfortunately.
The brains he is studying are from people who died suddenly from COVID, but didn't have serious symptoms. Dr. Nath says this brain damage may not be severe enough to kill someone, but could be the cause of some of the long hauler symptoms. Amy Watson, who is still unable to return to her teaching job in Portland, will soon be taking part in the NIH study.
I'll be able to access treatment that will help lessen my symptoms and make me feel normal again. I just want to get back to my life.
A lot of the long haulers that we spoke to told us that one of the problems they've had, one of the challenges, is trying to convince the people around them that what they're going through is actually connected to COVID. And before this NIH study even really gets off the ground, what it does for them is provide a kind of validation while also promising to look for a way to help them. Allison?
Two drug makers joining forces to
Okay, so that's the news clip that describes what a long hauler is and the woman who coined the expression. So it's kind of interesting that they captured her and interviewed her. But you notice that one of the theories is that they believe that the immune system keeps on working. The immune system is still causing the problem, and that would not be a surprise. That would not be a surprise, because that's one of the problems, say, with heart disease. The Framingham study, the cardiologist that was heading up that study, or made comments on a documentary that was on PBS, mentioned how the immune system becomes part of heart disease, because as the immune system is trying to resolve the buildup of plaque and other immune fighting cells that have built up between the inner and outer lining of the coronary artery walls, the immune system, he said, becomes part of the disease. And it's also not uncommon, because the immune system has been confused in many autoimmune diseases. So when something is autoimmune in nature, it's the immune system that can't distinguish the difference between self and not self. It's also one of the reasons why it's so important to remove glyphosate and weed killer from your diet. So you have to figure out what could be weed killer anywhere in your diet and eliminate that, because that foreign substance can bind itself to certain certain components in your body, proteins and otherwise in your body, and can mimic you and cause the immune system to attack you. That's why glyphosate has been linked to not just leaky gut syndrome, but hundreds of other diseases, including cancer. So you don't want glyphosate in your body. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but there's a growing number of class action lawsuits against Bayer and Monsanto over weed killer. There's currently a $10 billion settlement connected to lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and leukemia associated with glyphosate. We've been talking about weed killer for 15 years and warning to that you should take it out of your diet. And some of you may right now be asking, how do I get it out of my diet? Well, just go back to my channel. There's some discussions there on the gut. And where we talk a lot about ways that you can remove weed killer glyphosate from your diet. But the long and the short of it is you want to stay away from GMO products as much as possible. They've confirmed that glyphosate is in most oats and grains. So if it's not non-GMO and organic, there's a pretty good chance that there's at least a small amount of glyphosate going into your body. Now, getting back to this long hauler, they mentioned that the NIH is starting to focus on a little bit more. That's the National Institute of Health, and that's where a lot of major information is coming from. Here's an interesting article that you might want to take a look at and make yourself a little bit familiar with. Let's see, now why is this? Oh, because it's trying to share sound. No. Let's see if this works. You're all able to see this, these articles? This one here is National Institute of Health. You're able to see it? I hope that I've actually shared the right screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
So the title of the article, this is PubMed. So this is the official National Library of Medicine. So this is the same institute that's doing the study on these long haulers. And the reason I want to show you this is because they've also done a study and drawn a conclusion. Look at the conclusion. Endogenous deficiency of glutathione is the most likely cause of serious manifestations and death in COVID-19 patients. Now, that's sobering, and it should be mind-boggling that that they could draw that conclusion. But it's not surprising, because think about what endogenous glutathione is. Now, exogenous is something that comes into the body from the outside in, but endogenous glutathione is the glutathione that your body manufactures. Every cell in the mammalian body manufactures glutathione. It's a combination of 3 amino acids, glycine, glutamic acid, and cysteine. When those 3 amino acids combine, the 2 G's are very common. I think you can get some in potato chips. That's how common it is in food. But cysteine is the one that's all but missing from our diet. We used to get it in raw milk, but now that it's illegal to buy or sell raw milk for human consumption, it's a very rare thing. No one's ever died from raw milk, but the government made it illegal. And so that means that you now have to go to the grocery store and buy homogenized and pasteurized milk, which is now dead. The cysteine is useless. There is no bioavailable cysteine in homogenized and pasteurized milk. You got these fat molecules in there that make you obese. When you're eating whole milk, it's just putting on excess body weight is what it's doing. Unfortunately, our body can't process it properly. But raw milk, your body can process it. So raw eggs is a good source of cysteine, but we don't recommend that because of salmonella. And you'd have to eat like a dozen or 2 of them to get just 10 grams of cysteine. But I tend to like my eggs not cooked to death. I do like mine sunny side up. So so I get as much of the glutathione building components as I can. I want cysteine. I want as much active cysteine as I can get from my food. So that's a good way to get it. The cruciferous vegetables is another good way to do it. So raw green leafy vegetables, things like broccoli, lots of cysteine in that. So if you can consume that, great. Obviously, once again, you have to eat massive amounts of it to really raise your glutathione levels measurably, a large amount, but just the same, those things in your diet does make a difference. The additional way that we get components that will build glutathione is through supplements. And one of the best supplements that we can consume that has cysteine building components is called MicroDaily. And I know that's got to be a news flash for some of you that would be the case, but it won't be a news flash to most of you. Now I'm hoping that you're seeing the slide that I'm showing right now, and the only thing you see is Dr. Kedar Prasad. Is that what you see on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, I just gotta kind of confirm because I'm testing new things on this Zoom channel and Zoom share. But Dr. Prasad is this brilliant scientist right here, world-renowned scientist, member of the British Royal Academy of Medicine, and the first radiation biologist in the world. And I really love the fact that he was smart enough to go down that road. And just last week, just this past week, my office received a phone call from a woman who's concerned about a gentleman, family member, maybe a spouse, I'm not sure, but he works on cell phone towers, and he has health problems that cannot be explained, and nothing is helping him, but she believes that there has to be something that we can do to help him. So how much foresight that was for Dr. Prasad to realize that someone needed to be focusing in on radiation, and the fact that we're being bombarded with it. Who knew 5G would be coming down the pipeline? My wife's phone died about 3-4 weeks ago. So I went over to Best Buy to pick up another phone, and there was only one non-5G phone left outside of the old phones, the brick ones and the little small flip phones and things like that. But in the Android world that we reside in, there were just not that many choices. Everything had already gone to 5G. So I'm actually thinking about now going out and buying a couple of brand new 4G phones before they go the way of the dodo, and completely go obsolete and can't get one, because when my phone dies, I'm going to be stuck, going to 5G. So I actually think I'm going to have to just go and do that to be prepared for that likelihood that's coming. But Dr. Prasad has published more than 250 medical publications. One of his publications includes a document showing how micronutrients have an impact on COVID-19. His document specifies at least 5 different ways that micronutrients disrupts the activity of COVID-19. Specifically now, I mean, he wasn't just focusing in on any virus. This man focused specifically on COVID-19 and 5 different ways that it disrupts the virus. Authored 31 books, past member of the Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee. He's the man who nominated Dr. Linus Pauling for the Nobel Peace Prize. And the only reason he was not awarded the Nobel Peace Prize himself, I think it had something to do with citizenship of some kind. I can't remember exactly what the reason was for that. But anyway, this is the brilliant man who's behind a lot of what we have access to today. These are just a few of the patents awarded to his formulation of micronutrition in consort with the United States government and the military. And they have all sorts of benefits, as you can see documented there. The very first one, again, is my favorite, my second favorite actually, DNA protection and repair. So we're talking about a vitamin, so-called, but it's a specific formula that is able to protect and repair DNA that's been damaged by low-dose radiation, ionized radiation. So this is the component that you want to have in your body if you're exposed to radiation of any kind. And guess what? We all are. And disease is when the cell has been damaged by free radicals. And the massive amounts of radiation that we're being exposed to is what's damaging our cells. But now, back up to long haulers. Did you notice that one of the symptoms is fatigue? Fatigue means that the mitochondria of the cell has been damaged. There was a time when everything that was fatigue related, they just lumped it all into one category and called it chronic fatigue syndrome. That's what it was, because doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with the person. So they just said, you have chronic fatigue syndrome. So a person who is a long hauler is suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome. What they need to do, of course, is get their mitochondria working better. So it's almost like you can't just run out to the store and buy an ever-ready battery and turn into the Energizer Bunny. It doesn't work that way. You have to put something in your body that your body can now convert into energy and correct damage done to the DNA and help facilitate removing radicals, oxyradicals and hydroxyradicals from the cell. And that's by raising glutathione. See, this is all bringing us full circle. Everything connected to disease is related to, in some way, glutathione, its elevated levels or the deficiency thereof. And there are hundreds of thousands of different conditions in the body that's connected to deficiencies of glutathione. Diabetes is also mentioned here as one of the patents that Dr. Prasad's formulation has. And this is just two of the formulas that he has. The green bottle, it says with CoQ10. Let me make it real clear for the record.
Nice. I guess I can go and use my truck instead. I was getting ready to go to the store. I got to get some something to eat. I just got out of class.
Could you mute your lines if you're not talking right now, please?
You need anything?
Let's see if I can't get that muted, get that black spot off your screen. But Micro Daily it says with CoQ10, but they are making the adjustment. That's going to be called Micro Daily Regular or Original, one or the other, because they all have CoQ10. So every single formula has CoQ10. So don't get thrown off guard by that statement that we see right there. But it's the original formula that Dr. Prasad produced for the United States government and the military. And the formula that's still my favorite is the Micro Daily Plus. It has CBD combined with it. We're going to at some point, the Micro Daily Plus is going to probably be separated and just have the CBD all by itself. So if you really like the Micro Daily Plus like I do, I suggest you go ahead and buy a bunch of it up now and keep it in your cabinets, because we may not have access to it at some point. That's just a very strong hint I'm throwing at you. Don't repeat that. I'll deny it was ever said, and I'm going to remove that part of this recording. So, but if you really like the Micro Daily Plus, you might want to buy up a bunch of it now and put it in your cabinet. But these two products are just two of the formulas. There's the Micro Daily EMF version also, which was Dr. Prasad especially formulated because of the onset of 5G. And these are the ingredients. Everything in this product is designed to produce optimal immune response. That's what Dr. Prasad was going for. But you'll notice something in that proprietary blend section toward the bottom. N-acetylcysteine. Feast your eyes on that. N-acetylcysteine. Guess what that does? Along with alpha-lipoic acid, it raises lymphocytic endogenous glutathione levels. That's right. That is what raises lymphocytic endogenous glutathione levels. So I've actually put this product head to head against other products that raise endogenous glutathione levels, and personally have found it to be the same or superior. This is the effect of it. It fights the effects of free radicals, ridding the body of dangerous heavy metals with the most powerful antioxidant, glutathione. So this combination of the two especially is what really makes the production of glutathione super effective in the body. The other thing that we notice in the as a symptom of the long haulers is that they have this brain fog. They have difficulty thinking. They have difficulty finding words. They're groping for their thoughts. Well, Dr. Prasad found that not just vitamin E is good for the brain, but specifically vitamin E succinate is good for the brain. Vitamin E succinate happens to cross the blood-brain barrier. So no matter what you're taking right now as a vitamin E supplement, it's not doing what this is doing. Vitamin E succinate is the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it has the ability to produce a feeling of wellness. It's a scavenger, so it actually helps to rid the brain of free radicals. But many have found that they have mental clarity, and the brain fog is ameliorated to a great degree because of when they take microdaily. And interesting, one of Dr. Prasad's published papers, he's the guy who figured out that vitamin E succinate is cytotoxic to cancer cells. So now I've said that before, and sometimes we don't think about what it is. It's almost like when Dr. Prasad is talking about things from a scientific point of view, he says it like it's matter of fact. And sometimes that's how it comes across on our discussions here. But if you understand what I'm saying, the word cytotoxic means kills. Toxic too, so it will kill. So Dr. Prasad has a published paper. He's the one credited with figuring out that vitamin E succinate is cytotoxic to cancer cells. Let me put it a different way. The National Institute of Health, PubMed, has published papers showing that chemotherapy is cytotoxic to cancer less than 3% of the time. Do you understand that? So when it comes to killing cancer cells, there's published documentation at the National Institute of Health that says that chemotherapy is 3% effective, less than 3% effective when it comes to killing cancer cells. So that means it's 97% useless. So that's what cytotoxic, okay? So cytotoxic to cancer cells, that's what it means, it kills it. So this vitamin E succinate, Dr. Prasad figured out that it is cytotoxic to cancer cells. So if you're gonna have some vitamin E, you might as well have something that's cytotoxic to cancer cells crossing your blood-brain barrier. It's a good thing to have. And then when you add CBD to the mix, every cell in your body wants CBD. There are CBD receptors on every cell in the mammalian body that wants CBD. That's why this is an incredibly good product. Helps with anxiety, helps with seizures, helps with brain problems, lowers stress, reduces inflammation, has all the benefits of our normal microdaily, but along with it, it has CBD. I recommend, though, that you start getting used to using the CBD boost. I recommend this. I use the 1500 milligram CBD at night. It helps me get a deeper sleep. When you hit REM sleep, that's when your body starts to heal. We need to, when it comes to sleeping, in fact, we'll probably do a discussion next week on just sleep. We'll focus on that for a little bit because a lot of the reasons why we're not getting healthy is because we're not sleeping properly and we're not getting restful sleep. But CBD is very good for assisting with getting deeper sleep because you don't want to just sleep as if you're rested. You want to plunge into REM sleep. REM sleep is when you're dreaming. So if you're waking up in the morning and you're remembering your dreams, you've been in REM sleep. If you're waking up in the morning, you feel like you have not rested properly and you don't even know whether you've been dreaming or not, you don't even know whether you slept or not, you may not necessarily be getting the most restful sleep that you should. So, but the CBD will help with that. So just take one or two. You can titrate, which means just sort of figure out what works for you. There's no specific amount that's good or bad for you. You can't overdose on CBD. This CBD is extracted from hemp, not from marijuana. So hemp and marijuana are both in the cannabis family. The benefit of hemp, though, is number one, it's legal. And the reason it's legal is because it doesn't have THC. THC is the psychotropic component that causes the person to feel high. So there's nothing in this that makes a person feel high. It just has all the benefits of cannabidiol. So those are the two that I recommend the most. But as I mentioned, Dr. Prasad also formulated microdaily EMF. and he added more components to the EMF formula to help the body deal with the 5G radiation. Now, the difference between the two formulas as far as dosage is concerned, under normal circumstances, microdaily, the green bottle, you take 2 capsules twice a day under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances, you take 3 capsules twice a day of the EMF. He could not get all the additional 4 ingredients packed into just 2 capsules. They were too big. So it takes 3 capsules of the EMF to be equivalent to 2 capsules of the green bottle. Does that make sense? Now, depending on your age, we need to take a little bit more to benefit from it fully. So for example, the microdaily, the green bottle, if you're dealing with things like, problems with your sugar, problems with pressure in your veins, I'm deliberately using words that don't match up with the specific diseases, then you would take more. If you are over 50, like I am, I'm approaching 59, then I would take 3 of the green bottle, those capsules, 3 of those at least twice a day. If I was dealing with sugar issues, I would add a 3rd time. I take it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's always best to take it with food. Now, if you're taking the EMF formula because you're concerned about your exposure to radiation, 3 is normal. That's your baseline. So if you're going to increase your dosage, like I'm suggesting for the reasons I just suggested, sugar issues, vascular pressure issues, aging issues, then you have to add at least 1 or 2 more capsules to compensate for that. Then you have to add, in a worst case, you add an extra dose. So if a person is dealing with, like I said, sugar issues, instead of just taking 3 capsules twice a day, they might need 4 or 5 capsules twice a day. And if they have a real serious sugar processing problem, take it a 3rd time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Always best to take it with your meals, okay? So if you have questions about that, you can always just send an email. The best email is, if you want to reach me, is jonathan@hcsaaa.com. So hcsaaa.com. jonathan@hcsaaa.com. That's the best way to get questions in directly to me. Okay? So we encourage you to become a preferred customer. If you just would like to be a customer, if you'd like to do the business, stick around for a few minutes. We'll tell you about the business opportunity. But enjoy a 25% discount on the products just by becoming a preferred customer. That's the best way to purchase it, in my opinion. Okay, so that's what we recommend for any who would like to get involved with these products and use them for your own benefit. What you do is you get back with the person who invited you to this discussion, and they'll help you to get your own personal wholesale account as a preferred customer. So you get the discounts that way. Okay, so we're going to pause here and take a few questions. We don't have time for many questions, but we will take maybe 10 minutes or so of your questions. And we do like to hear your stories though, but we'll take a few questions first, and then we'll if you have a testimonial that you'd like to share, you can also include that in our discussion right now. Okay, Yvonne gets our first question.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I wanted to find out, what can we use for cholesterol if we have problems with cholesterol?
Well, there was one of the studies that was done that was included in the patents. I think it was directly in connection with the fire department. Showed that, and they did a study head-to-head against Lipitor. So they gave one group of participants in the clinical trial the micronutrients, and they gave the other group Lipitor. At the end of the study, the group that was taking the micronutrients had better cholesterol numbers. Their good cholesterol was through the roof, and their bad cholesterol was in the toilet, just using micronutrients. The Lipitor group did not do as well. So if you want to do something for your cholesterol, then just start taking microdaily. And it's a micronutrient. That's all it is. And one of the ways that it works, and this is something that the side effects of prescription meds like Lipitor and Crestor are numerous. So if you just Google it, and you'll see what the side effects are of Crestor and Lipitor. One of the side effects is Lou Gehrig's-like symptoms from the waist down. So that's a loss of muscular control from the waist down. That's one of the side effects. I met a woman in West Palm Beach. She was wheelchair bound after she was put on Crestor, I think it was, for her cholesterol. She lost her ability to walk. She's been wheelchair bound ever since. And it was only directly because of taking the cholesterol medication. Now, the reason why that happens is because cholesterol acts as a sacrificial lamb for free radicals. Your body produces cholesterol to sacrifice itself when a free radical is trying to attack you. That's a natural defense mechanism for the body, is the production of cholesterol. When pharmaceutical cholesterol managing drugs is prescribed, it lowers cholesterol, which now means free radicals can do whatever they want to do. And that's how it starts to attack either the mitochondria of the cells in different parts of the body. It starts chewing away at different parts of the body. They call them side effects. I call it crazy. You know, so it's not just side effects. I mean, anyway, you need cholesterol is the point. The benefit of micronutrition is that it helps get rid of the free radicals, which now makes the cholesterol balance itself out naturally.
Awesome. Awesome.
Natural.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
So
you so much.
you're very welcome. And thank you for your question, Yvonne.
Okay. Bye.
We have Emma Catalanan. I have trouble with your name, Emma. Please go ahead. Ask your question. Don't forget to unmute yourself. Catalanello. We still can't hear you. Oh, there we go. Go ahead now.
All right. Well, because I don't hear good on the left ear, I need you to repeat again what your email is, and I'll say it to see if it's correct. It's Jonathan at HD like David S.
Harry Charlie Sam. It's HC as in Charlie.
Okay. Now, I have a question. I had talked to you on the phone, and I'm in the early stages of cancer, and I'm going to get a consultation with the doctor Monday. And you recommended DNA 316. So I am asking the question, what does the DNA 316 have?
Very good question. We'll have that discussion offline and
Okay.
and give you some real clarity on it. Micro Daily, it's really a micronutrient, but it's like a micronutrient on steroids. It's yeah, it's powerful is what it really boils down to. It does what Micro Daily does, but it does it in a massive level. It resets the body biochemically and electromagnetically, very similar to the way that Micro Daily does, but in a much more aggressive fashion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then I'll have to call you, right?
Yes, we'll have that discussion either later this evening. I'll give you a call, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay. Will you call at 7 or 8 so I can get
let's make it 6:30, 7 o'clock.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and the next question we see here is Belinda.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi, my question is, okay, you were saying about the people dealing with being long haulers because now they have different side effects from the COVID virus that they had or may still have or whatever. So, so in that case, for someone's, I know, well, basically, I guess I know the answer to the question is for their immune system to get back on track like it should be, and to help put their bodies in a better state of health overall. So which one or two of the micro dailies would you suggest?
I highly recommend the Micro Daily Plus.
Okay.
More than anything, but I tell folks to do what your budget will allow. If you can only afford the Micro Daily regular, the green bottle, then go with that, because having something in your system is better than nothing. But the one I highly recommend is the Micro Daily Plus, because it
Okay.
also has CBD. We could spend hours outlining the benefits of putting CBD in your diet. It's voluminous, so I recommend the Micro Daily Plus if you can afford it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for your question. Sonia has a question now.
Well, it's not actually a question, but I just wanted to go back to when you mentioned about Lipitor and Crestor that has a side effect. I had that experience myself because when I was diagnosed with high, elevated sugar, it was also suggested that I should take something for cholesterol because they go together, sugar and cholesterol. So I did it. I was taking both, and then for a year, initially it was okay with Crestor, but then in the span of 1 year, I started to have pain all over my body, and I don't know where it was coming from, to the point of it was a debilitating kind of pain. So anyway, I just decided I'll just stop this because I started to read about Crestor, and that's what it says. You'll have body aches and muscle aches and joint aches and everything. So I just quit it, and then I felt better. And so I know that from the point of view of conventional medicine, they would say it's good, but it actually, for some people, that's why they keep switching what is good for you, so I just wanted to add that for the one who was questioning earlier.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that, because we need to hear that. We need to hear it from individuals who have had results like that. We had one client, actually she was a consultant, and she described one day she was sitting in her car, opened the door, and in her mind she walked up to the door and opened the door like normal. But then when she finally just kind of came to, she was still sitting there. She had moved. And she came to the realization at that moment that she was unable to move, but she had gone through the entire motion in her mind of going inside her house. So her body was being attacked by free radicals. So she learned keep her glutathione levels up. So that really is the moral of the story when it comes down to it, is keep our glutathione levels nice and high. But we're adding additional components that Dr. Prasad has put together, all the different nutrients and all the different vitamins and minerals and Micro Daily is just an unbelievable combination. It's not just because they're specific vitamins, but it's the formulation in itself. The exact combination. He figured out the exact amounts of each one was optimal. He figured out the exact sources for each one that made optimal response in the immune system. So Dr. Prasad spent years, decades, producing that formula, and we're fortunate to be recipients of it to this day. Okay. All right, so that will end our discussion for today. We will invite you to come back with us next week. We encourage everybody, if you know someone that you care about, invite them to our discussion. We have this discussion on Sundays at 4 o'clock each week. Invite them and let them come. Tell them to just come for 10 or 15 minutes if that's all they can stay for. And invariably, they will hear something that they would like to hear more about, and they'll undoubtedly come again. And sometimes they'll just simply stay a little bit longer. But we encourage that. We do have one more question trying to slip in here. George Missick.
Hi, it's actually Chris Missick. I just didn't get a chance to take my husband's name off his device.
All right.
Jonathan, are you familiar with, well, I shouldn't say familiar, but to phrase it, I've recently been diagnosed by my homeopathic doctor that I have fungus and mold toxicity in my body. And I'm going to be getting some supplements from her for detoxing for that. But is there anything, have you ever been familiar with anybody that has had mold and fungus in their body?
Oh yeah, that's not uncommon. There's one doctor that believes that cancer is a fungus. One scientist, and he wrote a whole book about it. I think you can find the book online. I think it's called Cancer is a Fungus. But that's not uncommon to have a fungus in the body. But your homeopath is probably giving you some good recommendation for it, and go with that. But you also might want to take Microdaily to your homeopath, let them test it. And I almost guarantee you that whatever equipment or diagnostic equipment that they'll be testing you with, it's going to scream that your body wants Microdaily.
Well, I am on Microdaily. I'm already on it. Oh yeah,
very
yeah.
good.
I've been on it since December.
Okay, good.
I actually showed it to her when I kind of went on Microdaily and seeing her at the same time.
Yeah.
It was like hand, they were hand in hand. So I was on before, I get tested through saliva samples.
Yep.
So she, before, I contacted her. She's somebody that's been helping me for years with, things I've had with gut issues and things of that sort, parasites and that kind of thing. But, and then I had contacted you, and then you had mentioned about going on the ImmunoRx, which I'm on that too. I'm taking the powder right now.
Good.
And following that aspect of it. But I started the Microdaily, maybe I would say like 2 weeks before, week and a half before she came back with my results and said, this is what you need, because you have, at the time, she saw the parasites were the biggest thing needed to be addressed was parasites. So I showed her the Microdaily. I took a picture and I sent it to her. I said, because she was going to recommend something for me. And I said, well, I'm already taking this. And she said, oh, well, that's fine. Keep doing that. That's perfect. What you're taking right now is perfect. So she just keep taking that. So I have been, and so this was back in December, but then recently when I just got tested again about a week ago, she came back because we wanted to see if the parasites had cleared up and everything, and the parasites are cleared up. But she said, I'm seeing a high degree of mold and fungus in your body and candida, which, I have leaky gut, so I'm really not surprised. I'm still trying to address the leaky gut too. I'm working with that. And so she's seeing the fungus and mold and also a high degree of histamine in my system. So I'm trying to cut back on
your immune
histamine
system.
on my immune system.
Yeah, your immune system is on fire because of the leaky gut. So just keep the colostrum at higher levels. You can't overdose on it. Just take one of the little scoopers, maybe with every meal. A few minutes before the meal, because then it builds up the epithelials in the gut and will stop the leaks. So because you got to stop the leaks.
How long do you have to wait to eat before you take that?
Just a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so.
Oh, okay. So you're suggesting me I should go with about 3 times a day.
Yeah. If you don't hit you're a little bit too high if you hit diarrhea, so you can't overdose on it.
Okay. And as far as the ImmunoRx, is the powder better than the liquid?
Two different.
Is it a better?
They have two different purposes. The powder is mainly for the gut. 80% of the immune system is in the gut. The powder works specifically in the gut. The spray is specifically for rebooting the immune system. It bypasses digestion altogether. It goes straight into the bloodstream.
Oh, do you suggest I go on that as well then? Or not for right now?
You kind of have to do them in tandem. Like right now you're doing the powder. That's great. Maybe
stay with that.
You stick with that. Don't ever stop that. But then you can come in now very soon with the spray. It'll start resetting your immune system and stop your immune system from attacking everything that it finds. So it'll start slowing that down.
I'm going to be starting a detox as soon as I get the supplements from her. And probably the detox, I would say, because of what she's sending me, is going to be at least a month and a half of detoxing for this mold and fungus.
Yeah.
So do you suggest I wait till the detox is finished before I add that liquid MRX?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
That won't hurt. Yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
You're doing enough to try to get your system under control, but you keep that colostrum going in there because that will stop you from becoming now allergic to any of the other supplements that you're taking. It'll reduce the chances of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're quite welcome. Thank you for your question. Let's see here. I saw, Jean had a question there for a minute, but she's gone, unless I accidentally put her hand down. Okay, Jean, you had a question, and then we'll get Corey's question in before we wrap up.
Well, this question just popped up in my email, and somebody wants to know if it's okay for someone who's taking Coumadin to take CBD.
Yes, I've never seen anything that says that there was any contraindication with CBD and Coumadin.
Okay.
You know, because Coumadin is a blood thinner, and CBD is just another food that the body loves. It has no blood thinning effects.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're quite welcome. And Corey Salcedo. Don't forget to unmute. Okay, there we go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones.
Good afternoon. Nice to have you with us.
This is my first day, and my question is, I am diabetic. My blood pressure is high, and I have autoimmune disease. I am taking methotrexate 8 tablets a week, and I am taking, aside from folic acid, I am taking mycophenolate. Now, will this not interact with, if ever I choose to get your green micro daily or the other one?
Very good question. When Dr. Prasad presented his formulation to the internal review board for the government, he had to prove that his formula would not contraindicate with any pharmaceutical drugs. So the conclusion from the IRB was that it will not contraindicate with pharmaceuticals. So whatever your doctor has you on, this will not contraindicate with it at all. So you can feel comfortable going ahead and adding this to your diet. Eventually, your doctor may decide to start taking you off some of your pharmaceutical medications in time.
So I can take my all my medication, including, of course, my blood pressure medication and my diabetic medication.
Absolutely. We highly recommend it. We do not recommend that anyone just stop taking any medication without consulting with your doctor.
Okay, so that's all. I will
hurt.
be probably preparing another question in regards to, my present illness.
Right.
The next time, let's say Sunday, I will be seeing you again. And
All
thank
right.
you so much.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
You're welcome, sir.
Make sure that you take a good healthy amount so that you see good results, with it. Because when we have a little bit more miles on us, we need a little bit extra, to make sure that it gets into our system. Okay. So.
Okay, I forgot. I am a 78 years old woman.
78 years young. You got a long way to go. My mother-in-law had just turned 90, so you got a long way to go. Okay.
I hope. Okay,
Very good.
thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank
Nice
you.
to have you as part of our family.
Okay.
All right, everyone. So just again for the record, nothing that's been stated here is intended to be a substitute for a visit to your primary health care physician. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. So testimonials are anecdotal. The information provided here has been for educational purposes only. If you'd like access to any of the articles or information that has been referenced here, just send an email to jonathan@hcsaaa.com, and I'll be happy to share with you anything that I have and the direct links to any of it at all. Okay? So once again, it's been my pleasure and privilege to have been your host and moderator for the afternoon. For any who are interested in the business opportunities, stick around for just a few minutes. We're going to have a brief business meeting immediately following this meeting. But if you'd like to all unmute, you can unmute and speak to each other and say goodbye. Toodaloo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jonathan.
Cora, nice
Bye.
to see you,
Bye,
Cora.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very much.
everyone. Thank you.
Nice to see you,
Bye.
Ruth.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right.
Okay.